YouTube, Jose Loves MMA. In this one, I am doing the prediction and breakdown between the fight happening in the UFC Mexico card this weekend between Vinc Pichel and Rafa Garcia. Rafael Garcia is 30 years of age. Vinc Pichel is 42 years of age. That's something that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. And if you've been looking up these fighter statistics, that's something that probably stands out to you. First and foremost, if you come to this channel to get a good prediction, to get good knowledge about these fighters, and to look to make a bet or place a bet and get some knowledge, I feel like with this one, I'm definitely very well informed in these two fighters, so I should give you definitely multiple ways that you can make some money. I will say first and foremost, my official pick is that Rafa Garcia wins via decision. I think, of course, because of his age, he is going to be able to be the more active, aggressive guy. And because he is Mexican and fighting in UFC Mexico, Mexican people have very much a lot of pride for their fighters. So something to be kind of in mind of is any big punches that these Mexican and Latin American fighters land, people are going to be going crazy. Any little thing, especially if they don't know who they're fighting. So it is definitely more likely in this one compared to the other card. The other card, there was multiple robberies. But there's more likely that in this card, these judges and these people are going to lean to the hometown guy. Because like I said, any punch, anything, any strong takedown, these fans are going to go crazy and just, whoa. So that, keep in mind. If you're watching this and you really want to make sure I know about these fighters, I can tell you that with Vinc Pichel, he might look old. Yes, he's 42 years old. He doesn't look old. He is old for a fighter. But if you look, Vinc Pichel does not have a lot of miles. He has the same amount of fights, basically, or a little bit more than Rafa Garcia. And he's 12 years older than Rafa Garcia because Vinc Pichel has been someone that's been in the roster for a long time. He comes from the Ultimate Fighter, so he actually has a few wins on his record. And one loss in the Ultimate Fighter that is not documented. So he is the fighter with more experience and more fights at the end of the day. Pichel does not have a lot of miles for that record that he has. So keep that in mind. If you look and average the amount of fights that he's had from when he started fighting to now, you could tell he's been fighting once a year, if that. And when you're fighting once a year, you're taking care of yourself. That means you're not physically compromised or that much physically compromised at that age. So that is why I don't think Rafa Garcia gets a finish, because this guy Vinc Pichel is not like any normal 42-year-old. And if you see his last fight against one of the Bonfim brothers, I believe Ismael Bonfim, he went to a decision with him, which has way more to offer than Rafa Garcia does. Way more to offer. Way better fighter than Rafa Garcia is. And is more of a threat to finish the fight. It's just more of a finisher. And he went to decision with Rafa Garcia. So keep that. He went to decision with Vinc Pichel. Keep that in mind. And that is his last fight. Vinc Pichel didn't take any crazy damage. He hasn't been taking any crazy damage. And he has not been fighting that often, but has obviously been staying in shape, because if you're fighting at 42 years old, you're staying in shape and taking care of your body. The reason why I am not totally backing Vinc Pichel in my official prediction and pick is because if you look at Vinc Pichel's takedown stats, even though he has faced some pretty aggressive wrestlers, he has like a 30% takedown defense. And Rafa Garcia does not have a lot to bring on the feet. I think Vinc Pichel is actually better than him on the feet. But I think that Rafa Garcia is going to be forced to play the wrestling game, because if he doesn't play the wrestling game, Vinc Pichel will be piecing him up on the feet. Like I said, this dude is still very healthy for his age, and I think he is a very rounded and very good striker. Only thing about Vinc Pichel that does not let me make him my official pick is that his takedown defense, again, he has like 30% takedown defense, and I just can't back someone heavily in a situation like that. So because of Rafa Garcia being the younger guy, being a wrestler, not being a terrible fighter, but Rafa Garcia is, to me, is low level. He fought Clay Guida, and Clay Guida has been asked for like the past 10 years. He fought Clay Guida like 2 years ago, and he looked like complete shit. Clay Guida and him had like the toughest match ever when it shouldn't have been this tough. This dude at this time was like 27 years old, dude, and like was struggling heavily with Clay Guida. So because of that, if you're seriously thinking about making this bet and you want to bet on Rafa Garcia, look to bet him to win via decision. I don't see Rafa Garcia getting a finish on Vinc Pichel, even though Pichel doesn't have the best takedown defense because he's not the strongest or most physical guy. He's not the guy that you're just going to submit whenever you want. No. He's still a good martial artist and has been training for a long time. Just takedown defense is not his strong suit. You could, if you're going to bet Rafa Garcia, I think you should definitely not trust the money line at like minus 400 and trust for him to win by decision, which should be at even odds or should be at plus money. But what I think it's really worth a bet is putting money that the fight goes over 2.5 rounds, even though the odds might be negative 180 or negative 200 to win 100. This fight goes to the distance because Vinc Pichel isn't out here trying to kill or finish anybody, and Rafa Garcia is definitely not going to kill or finish Vinc Pichel. Vinc Pichel is a very tough and experienced guy. Bet the over in this fight if you really want a for sure bet and you don't want to lean a certain direction because of the odds. But I think aside from betting the over, you should definitely look into betting Vinc Pichel to win via decision as well, because the dude is a very good striker, and if for some reason he could defend the takedown of Rafa Garcia not being the most explosive guy as a 30-year-old, if he could defend that takedown, he could piece him up on the feet. And we could maybe see an opening fight like the one with Guram Kudalate and Kue Fernandez. So I will not be falling for that trap ever again. And I think the best bets to make if you're going to bet something, Rafa Garcia by decision if you really feel like you want to bet on him. Vinc Pichel by decision should be at like plus 1,000 or plus 800. And that's really his mainly path to victory. That's both of those guys' path to victory. And for the fight to go over 2.5 rounds or to go to a decision. Those should be the best bets to make. Really, the last two will be the better ones to make, as I just can't put no trust in Rafa Garcia. And I just don't think he's the best fighter out there.